Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the TJ Money Show.
I'm Tamaris Reynolds.
And I am Janae. You're tuned into Money After Dark.
Mm-hmm.
And today, we're talking about how soon should you give it up?
And we're talking about giving up poor spending habits.
Mm-hmm.
And this can this can kind of go back to when we were talking about the 90-day rule earlier in the series. And so the whole purpose of this is not to learn how to swim while you're drowning. That's a bad spot to be in. So just identifying where you're at. And like I said, go back through your 90 days worth of bank statement and see where you are. That's going to help you with your spending habits. Because like I said, the worst time to figure out how to start swimming is when you're drowning. And it's so easy to get into bad spending habits.
Yeah. Well, why don't you share with the viewers your story on what made you give up how you were spending money on vehicles?
Oh man.
I know that's your vice, and we all have them.
Yeah. So coming up, I had a big fetish for cars, and I got to a point where I was getting money faster than I needed to be getting, and I started spending it on things like cars, which at 19 and 22 you don't really need 6 cars. Granted, were all the cars mine? They were shared amongst us, but still we didn't need 6 cars. And when I hit the brick wall and I started having people talk to me, that's when I realized that I had a problem. And you don't want to be in that spot when you're learning how to losing myself.
It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely don't want to learn how to, like I said, you definitely don't want to learn how to start doing that while you're in that situation, because at that time it was not a fun time for me, and I don't want anybody to have to go through that. So, I mean, while you're young, just identify any leaks you may have while your boat is still a little smaller, because when the boat gets bigger, it's a lot harder to find those leaks. And for me, I learned it a very hard way, and I don't want anybody to have to go through that.
For me, I wasn't much of a spender. I mean, I did like going to the mall, and I would buy one thing here, one thing there, but I really didn't have an issue with spending per se because I've been pretty disciplined. But I will say there have been times where I found myself making impulse purchases, and looking back now, I wish that I would have taken that money and paid down more of my debt or even saved more. So I think, how soon should you give it up? Just as soon as you realize where it is that you want to be. Like right now, my mindset is focused on being 100% debt free. And so that means that when I take in money, that my money is focused on me reaching that goal. So if you don't have any goals right now, that's something you should definitely sit down and think about. Because when you don't have goals or anything that you're trying to work towards, it's easy to make, impulse decisions or split-second decisions that may not serve you in the long run.
Yeah. And a lot of spending comes on emotion. And if you're buying things off emotion, you can put yourself in a bad spot also. Like Janae was saying with impulse buyings. Just think about needs versus wants. And I'm not saying don't go out here and get what you want if you work hard for it. Well, I'm saying just be wise with it, so that way you don't end up in the dark.
And even plan for it. There have been times where, I wanted something, but I would delay it by, a month or two until I was able to save up enough money to pay cash for it and not have to go into my normal funds.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah. So if you are wondering, how soon you should give it up if you're dealing with some spending habits, some poor spending decisions that you've made recently, I think reflection is very important. So you definitely want to take time to just think about the decisions that you've made, what caused you to make them, because I believe that, like Tamara said, a lot of the decisions we make around money are emotional. And so you need to know what your triggers are, what's caused you to spend that money in the first place. Because there's something called money scripts that we won't get into here. But there are different feelings that lead to certain behaviors. And so, like somebody with low self-esteem, they might try to overcompensate by wearing the latest clothes or driving the nicest cars. And so you want to think about what has caused you to spend the way you spend. And once you identify the root of why you spend the way you spend, you'll be able to give it up that much easier.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you all for tuning in. We look forward to talking with you next week. Take care.
Yes.